I think it goes to, again, the flood story where we get these details when we have a deeper dive look at it. That, I mean, most people just settle for the violence of the earth and that people were
Mm-hmm.
godless and that somehow that rose to the level that required the flood, which is easy to sort of paint God as this horrible God, right? Which polytheists like to do. And so they enter these seeds into Christian faith to create wedges, and people don't have the ability to answer things properly. So, yes, there was violence. The Nephilim were absolutely the most violent people. They slaughtered human en masse. They ate humans. They drank their blood. They did the same thing with the demigods, and they really like to kill each other because of the quickening aspect of adding power is what they believe to their spirits. So, but they did one other thing. They corrupted the whole earth. Now, that's the Hebrew word shakath. Now, that's just not being godless. This is not just being violent. This is a destroyer word. This is a spoiler word as it's defined. It means to decay, to ruin, to degrade. They changed everything and degraded everything on the earth. That included the plant genomes. That included the DNA of pretty much all of the animals. Between interbreeding and other DNA manipulation, probably most of the humans. It's probably why that God selected 8 who were not only pure of spirit,
Pure
but
blood.
pure of genes and blood and physical
Blemish.
character.
Yeah.
Yeah, to start the world anew. It's why he called representatives of 1 pair for all the unclean animals and 7 pairs for all of the clean animals to restart, because he knew the ones that weren't DNA manipulated. So let's say in the unicorn mythos, where it's this really cute little horsey type of thing with a horn that's playing while people are loading on the ark, and somehow it misses it because they're so playful they didn't get to their appointment on time. No, 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 no. They weren't called because it was a chimera like animal coming out of Greek mythology, where they created all of these beasts through DNA manipulation somehow that had multiple types of animals on each sort of being. It was an abomination in itself. That's why it wasn't called. So that reflects the power of the technology and the knowledge that the giants had working with the fallen angels. So that's, again, another example of
Mm.
their extended power. Here's what I do know is I think it's part of the deception. I think they'll come out. They're going to be different
Mm-hmm.
types of aliens to create that sort of delusion. I think we're getting close to that. But even if they're not, the only thing that's relevant in terms of why it's important for us to understand of this is that whether or not it's true or not, polytheists believe it. And it's what they do with that belief that we have to understand. So it helps us to fend off their spiritual attacks. It helps us
Mm-hmm.
fend off their mortal physical attacks, seeding doubt, corrupting things, and the tactics that they're likely to try and attack us on. Now, eventually, they're going to, look like in their own eyes they've got, the mundane humans,
Mm-hmm.
on in the edge of the abyss, and to be wiped out, to be remembered no more, except that they're being lied to by the fallen angels, because they already know, with Jesus being created and him going to talk to the worst of these impassioned angels in the abyss in First Peter 3, that the rebellion is over. It's just the details
Mm-hmm.
and making sure all humans have an opportunity to keep their name in the in the book of life and not have it blotted out. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a set time, there's an ordained time, and they have no control over that. So they'll have to accept the end time at the ordained time. But the reason why it's important is because they want to do that day of destiny always have sooner than the ordained time, which is why nothing is new under the sun. They keep trying to get it to that point for that showdown with the God of the universe sooner because they believe they can win. Well, the angels don't. They're just deceiving the people after the resurrection. That and here's the thing: is what First Corinthians tells us is that if they had known about the resurrection, they wouldn't have ensured Christ was crucified.
Yeah,
They didn't know about that. They thought
big error
they
on their part.
had humankind at the point where we would be remembered no more, just as the Amalekites and all the giant nations said, we will wipe Israel from the face of the earth. It's the larger accursed oath that was taken on Mount Hermon by the fallen angels to create the Nephilim, to make sure humankind, the Adamites' name was remembered no more. Wiped from the face of the earth. They have some foreknowledge.
They do. Okay.
Yeah, and it's through the gods. They don't know everything, but they kind of know directionally where things are going to go, and I'm sure they can calculate
yeah
accordingly. But the thing is we know it's not perfection because they're not always right. In fact, most times they're not right.
yeah.
But they do have the ability to project what they think might happen based on that knowledge. There's already a spirit occupying that dwelling place. So it's not a symbiotic relationship. It's a war that's going on in that body. So it's a physical, spiritual war, and you see the repercussions of that war with how things sort of manifest on the body, right? And of course, the demon spirit is ultimately a little stronger unless the human spirit is relying on Jesus and God to help fend it off. But typically, demons go into bodies of people who they know aren't saved and aren't going to call on God, and they just don't, and they're probably in an absolute state of terror as to what's going on. And the power of that demon allows them to suppress that down. Now, in the occult, they also have like shamans and adepts who will try and bring in a demon spirit. You're probably looking for an angelic spirit where it could be a little bit more symbiotic. I'll touch on that in a second. I don't know whether I have on your show or not. But they believe with the knowledge that they're taught in the mysteries and as high level adepts that they can do more of a symbiotic relationship with this demon, and that they're not going to fight it back. And in return, the demon is going to provide them additional knowledge. I still think there's a suppression going on. So we see this in the imagery, like in the crazy clown spirit, showing the spirit that's below, or in theater masks as the spirit below, or in the Day of the Dead where they have that white sort of look. And with the court jesters, which were polytheist magicians designed to be hidden within the court of the royal court so they could be there, and they were to make them laugh, but they were high level adepts so that they could have their polytheist priest with them all the time as an advisor. And they say if they didn't make them laugh, it's probably more like they didn't do the right things that they wanted them to do in terms of adding to the king's power, is they would take a knife and they would slit the mouth like this. And that's the same imagery you get with the Joker in Batman, who is a superhero that all superheroes are based on. And Batman is based on a branch of the Xibalba giants out of the Popol Vuh of the Quiché Maya, which were bird Nephilim.